Chief. Something in the grass just took a man's head off. 10 Navy SEALs trapped in an open prairie. No trees, no cover, no time. Rescue was 28 minutes away. They weren't going to survive the next two. Then a voice whispered into their radio. Calm. Young. Terrifyingly steady. Stay down. The field is on your side tonight. 3 shots followed. 3 enemy gunmen dropped clean, silent, impossible. Whoever she was close. Close enough to touch. They would later call her the Grass Phantom. And on that night, the Prairie learned to kill. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? And if honor and courage still matter to you, help keep stories like this alive. The wind cut across Prairie's own delta like a blade, bending the tall grass in long, uneven waves. Echo Team 7 hit the ground hard, scattered across a field with no cover and no shadows. Their boots sank into dry soil as gunfire erupted from the ridgelines in every direction. Chief Logan Ward pressed his helmet into the dirt, the grass brushing his visor like fingers. Rounds snapped overhead, slicing stems, turning the field into a shaking sea of green. His radio buzzed with static. Then a strained voice from command broke through. Echo 7, QRF is 28 minutes out. 28 minutes. He knew none of them would last too. A burst of machine gun fire ripped the air open. Ward crawled toward Corporal Mason, who was pinned by a broken irrigation pipe. Mason's breath trembled. They've got us dialed in, Chief. They can see everything. Ward glanced around. Nothing but grass, 6 feet high, endless, swaying under a restless wind. No trees, no rocks, no structures, nowhere to hide. Their landing zone had been a perfect target. Then he heard it 3 slow taps on metal, almost a code, almost a warning. He froze. No one on his team made that sound. Another volley hammered their position. Someone screamed. Someone else didn't. Ward slammed his fist into the radio. Raven 6, we are taking crossfire from 3 sectors. We need immediate air. The radio cut. A voice replaced it. Female. Calm. Cold. Echo 7, don't raise your head. The grass behind you is watching. Ward blinked. Who is this? A tiny pause. The wind rustled the grass like a whispering crowd. Someone who can keep you alive for the next 30 seconds. Don't move. Ward twisted, trying to see what she meant. Behind him, the tall grass swayed gently, nothing unusual, nothing that looked like a person. Then a soft thump echoed across the field. No muzzle flash, no recoil sound. Just a muted punch. One of the shooters on the ridge dropped instantly. Mason gasped. Chief, the grass just killed somebody. Ward didn't answer. Another soft thump. A second rifleman collapsed sideways, swallowed by the waving stems. A third gunman's silhouette jerked back, as if pulled by an invisible hook. 3 shots. No misses. No origin. Ward's heartbeat hammered against his chest plate. Where the hell are you? 6 meters from your left boot, the voice replied. If you step on me, I will be annoyed. He stared into the field. Nothing but grass. But now that he looked closer, one patch moved differently. Not with the wind. With intention. Gunfire raked the field again, and Ward's team hugged the dirt. The unseen shooter spoke, still calm. There are 32 enemy fighters encircling your position. They think you're blind in this grass. They're right. But they're wrong about me. Another shot. One of the machine gunners went down, his weapon falling silent. Ward whispered, How are you doing that? Wind is strong, she said. Makes the grass dance. Makes bullets drift. I aim with the grass, not the scope. Ward didn't understand, but he didn't need to. All he needed to do was breathe and pray. She kept talking. The field suddenly fell eerily quiet. The Marrow Brigade fighters hesitated, confused by the invisible hits slicing through their ranks. They fired randomly into the grass, hoping to flush her out. Bullets chewed through stems, but nothing hit back. Then her voice again. They'll try to triangulate soon. When they do, they'll start burning the field. It'll stop them, but you'll need to stay absolutely still. Mason whispered. Is she even human? Ward's jaw clenched. I don't know, but she's the only thing keeping us alive. Another muted shot. Another. The grass shivered as bodies fell unseen. Ward pressed his cheek to the ground and spoke softly into his radio. "Mom. Whatever you are. Thank you." "For what?" she asked. "For showing up." A long breath. Then her answer. "I didn't show up, Chief. I was already here." And the grass around them seemed to breathe. The grass shifted again, this time in a tight ripple that didn't match the wind. Chief Ward tracked the movement, trying to understand how anything human could disappear so completely. The stems bent and straightened in a rhythm that felt deliberate. A sudden crack echoed from the north ridge. One of the Marrow Brigade spotters stood to adjust his sights. Before he finished rising, his body folded forward, dropping into the grass like a cut rope. Ward saw no flash, no smoke, nothing to mark where the shot came from. "Your left flank is clear," the woman said, "but the central line is repositioning. They're expecting a counterattack that won't come." Her tone sounded almost bored, like she'd done this in harder places. Ward scanned the field. "We can't see a damn thing. We don't even know where they're moving." "You don't have to," she replied. "I do." The wind rose, brushing the grass into long, slanted strokes. As the pattern changed, she moved with it sliding low, barely disturbing the blades. Each shift of her body blended into the natural sway. A disappearing act repeated every few seconds. Echo Team 7 stayed pressed against the ground, counting the seconds between her shots. Each one struck with surgical precision, carving holes into the enemy's formation before they realized their positions were collapsing. A gunman, sprinting for a tree stump, went down. Another soldier preparing an underbarrel grenade dropped the weapon before he could aim. Ward felt something loosen in his chest. Hope, a dangerous feeling in a place like this. The woman's voice returned. "Machine gunner near the ridge is adjusting. If he gets that line of sight, you'll lose half your team." Ward swallowed. "Can you stop him?" Already did. Before Ward could ask how, a distant body toppled sideways, his heavy weapon tumbling into the grass. The enemy squad around him scattered, unsure which direction to face. But the relief didn't last. To the west, a sudden bloom of orange rose from the field. Flames caught the dry stems and raced outward in curling fingers. Someone in the Marrow Brigade had decided to burn the phantom out. Ward's stomach tightened. Fire in a grass field was a rolling wall of heat, devouring everything in seconds. Mason choked out the words. "Chief, if she's really out there..." The woman cut him off. "They're trying to force me upright. Ignore the flames. They won't reach you before I put them out." Ward didn't understand how anyone could put out fire in a field this size. Then he saw her trick. 3 shots went out in rapid succession. Each one punched into the hands or fuel packs of the men carrying torches. The fire starters crumpled. Their canisters burst backward in sprays of ignited vapor, consuming them before the flames spread wider. The advancing fire dimmed, then died, starved of new fuel. Smoke thinned. Grass hissed and settled. The woman exhaled quietly through the radio. "Sloppy. They assumed heat would panic me." Ward shook his head. "You should have panicked. That could have killed you." "Chief," she said, "I've crawled through burning fields before. This one barely warmed my suit." A sudden whistle cut through the air. A sniper round meant for her cracked into the earth only inches from Ward's foot. Echo Team 7 tensed, realizing someone had finally found her general position. Then came silence hunting silence. Ward whispered, "They've got a bead on you. Move." "I know," she answered. "Watch the ridge." "Not my problem." Across the field, the enemy sniper rose slightly to adjust his aim. His barrel gleamed between stalks of grass. Before he could fire again, she struck an angled shot that tunneled through 2 layers of stems and clipped him directly above the nose. The blast sent a shower of stalks swirling upward before the wind carried them off. The ridge went quiet. Ward steadied his breathing. "How many left?" "Enough to be annoying," she replied, "but not enough to win." Another wave of gunmen charged. Their boots smashed down the grass as they pushed toward the center, trying to overwhelm the SEALs by sheer numbers. But the moment they broke into a sprint, the field turned against them. Each burst of wind revealed a new angle. Each shift of grass masked another shot. Bodies fell in staggered patterns across the open stretch. One on the left, one on the right, one dead center like the field itself was choosing who to take. The momentum shattered. The Marrow Brigade stopped firing. Panic rippled through their ranks as the survivors turned and ran back toward the distant ridge. They vanished into the tall grass the same way they'd entered, only fewer. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the woman spoke. Echo 7. On your feet. Your circle is clear. Ward rose slowly, brushing dirt from his gloves. He turned toward the patch of grass, where Shed been hiding. The stems parted. A figure stood up, covered head to toe in coyote brown mesh, fresh grass woven into every inch. Not a shadow, not a silhouette. A moving piece of the field. Ward breathed out. You're not what I expected. She tilted her head, cowl rustling softly. No one ever expects the grass. Chief Ward barely had time to process what he was seeing. The woman who moved like a blade wrapped in grass adjusted her rifle strap and turned toward the horizon. Her posture changed. Something had shifted in the air. Before Ward could speak, Outpost Raven 1-2 came alive on the radio. Sirens wailed through the static. A panicked voice cut through the noise. Raven 1-2, to all units, enemy force approaching from the southeast. They're massing for a full assault. Repeat, full assault, 50 plus. Ward's jaw tightened. Raven 1-2 wasn't a frontline base. It was a quiet intel hub with minimal manpower. Nothing that could withstand a professional fighting force. Mason looked at the woman. They're going for the outpost. Can you get there in time? She didn't answer immediately. She studied the shifting grass as if it were giving her instructions. Finally, she spoke. The brigade didn't retreat. They repositioned. That ambush wasn't meant to wipe you out. It was meant to confirm my presence. Ward stared at her. Confirm you? She nodded. They've been hunting something they call the Phantom. They think that's me. The revelation hung heavy in the wind. Raven 1-2 called again, louder, more desperate. All teams, Raven 1-2 is taking indirect fire. They're testing our perimeter. We need eyes out there. Ward turned to his team, exhausted, bleeding, low on ammo, but ready to move. Before he could say anything, the woman stepped forward. You go defend the outpost from inside. It'll stop the advance from out here. Ward shook his head. You're alone. There are too many of them. She adjusted the grass on her suit. The dark helps me. They won't see what lives inside the field at night. She slipped away before he could argue further, disappearing as though the wind consumed her. The sun dipped below the horizon as Echo Team 7 sprinted toward Raven 1-2. The hardwood planks of the perimeter rattled with the impact of distant mortar hits. Each explosion sent a low rumble across the prairie. Inside the field, the woman moved like she belonged to the terrain. The tall grass brushed against her suit, masking her heat signature and muffling her sound. Nightfall transformed the prairie into shifting shadows, perfect for a ghost. Through thermal optics, she counted the fighters closing in. 58, more disciplined than the first wave. They advanced in squads, flowing through the grass with tactical spacing. A sharp, frigid breeze cut across the land. It carried hints of smoke from earlier clashes. She settled onto a patch of flattened stems and unfolded her rifle. Her breathing slowed. The grass steadied around her. She keyed her short-range transmitter. Raven 1-2, this is someone outside your wire. Enemy command element is 300 meters to your southeast. You won't see them, but I will. Static responded. Then a shaken voice. Copy. Whoever this is, good luck. The woman aligned her scope. The head of the enemy column came into view, lanterns low, weapons up, moving confidently. They expected confusion. They expected fear. They didn't expect her. Her first shot hit a squad leader. The man spun backward before anyone heard the round. A second shot broke the line of the radio operators. Their comms fell silent. The brigade halted, unsure how they'd been spotted in the dark. A third round punched through an RPG carrier, igniting his pack in a controlled explosion. Light flared, revealing startled faces and frantic movement. The woman whispered to herself, too close together. She fired again. And again. A sniper team on the far ridge tried to find her. They scanned with infrared, but the heat patterns on her suit blended with the grass. Their scope drifted right over her position without slowing. She exhaled. 1 bullet for each of them. Both dropped within seconds. The brigade reacted with force. Flares burst overhead, painting the entire plain in harsh white light. Shadows stretched across the grass. Footsteps thundered as fighters surged forward. The woman remained still, letting the glare burn away. When the flares sputtered out, she moved 10 meters left, shifting her silhouette before the next volley of shots. Her radio crackled. Ward's voice. "We're holding them at the western gate, but we won't last long. Do you see their commander?" She scanned the field. Only waves of grass. Then, finally, a figure moving with calculation instead of panic. He carried no lantern, wore no insignia, but moved like head-led ambushes his entire life. Veron Cade, the man who had put a price on her head. She lowered her stance and settled into a deeper section of grass. "Yes, Chief. I see him." Ward's breath caught. "Don't take risks. Let us handle." She cut him off. "No. Has mine." Cade lifted binoculars, searching for the ghost head chased for years. The woman's heartbeat steadied. She aligned the shot, one clean line from her hide to his chest. But a sudden gust blew the grass sideways, throwing off her angle. She waited, watching the tall stems around her. They told her everything she needed. The wind eased. The field bowed left. She fired. Cade staggered once, twice, then slumped forward into the grass that swallowed him whole. The prairie exhaled. The brigade broke, and the night belonged to her. Raven 1-2 fell into an exhausted silence once the last echoes of gunfire faded. The sky above the outpost glowed faintly from the smoldering grass field, painting the perimeter in amber light. Chief Ward leaned against a steel post, catching his breath as medics rushed past. Echo Team 7 stood in small clusters, battered but alive. The reality of it all settled slowly, like dust after an explosion. Every man there knew the odds had been impossible, until someone tilted the scale. A lone figure approached from the grass line. Her steps made no sound. The tall stems parted for her as though the field recognized its own. When she reached the gate, the sentries lifted their rifles, then lowered them as Ward raised a hand. "She's friendly," he said quietly. "More than friendly." The woman, still draped in a mesh of grass, crossed the threshold with the posture of someone who expected nothing in return. She didn't smile, didn't slow. Her eyes swept the outpost, gauging threats even after the fight had ended. Ward stepped forward, wiping dried blood from his cheek. "You stopped a battalion with a handful of rounds." She shrugged. They weren't thinking. The field was louder than their tactics. Mason approached, limping, his helmet dangling by a strap. "Whoever you are, thank you. That's all I've got." The woman shifted slightly, uncomfortable with the attention. "You survived. That's what matters." Inside Raven 12 Seconds command shack, Colonel Kerr waited beside a table stacked with half-burnt maps and shattered radios. The glass windows rattled from lingering vibrations in the ground. He gestured for her to sit, though she chose to stand. Kerr cleared his throat. "I've read the battlefield logs." "What you did tonight," she cut him off. "Make the report vague. Mention long-range support. Nothing more." Kerr studied her face, recognizing a line he couldn't cross. "You don't want credit?" "No. Credit attracts pattern analysts. Pattern analysts attract hunters. So, this isn't the first attempt on your life?" Her eyes drifted toward the window, where faint smoke curled upward. "Not even close." Ward leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Colonel, she saved this base. Twice today. She deserves more than a ghost entry," the woman answered for him. "A ghost entry keeps you alive. And me working." The colonel exhaled slowly. "All right. You have my word. Your name stays out of everything." She nodded once, accepting the deal without relief or gratitude, only practicality. Ward reached into a pouch on his vest and pulled out a small object. A coin, heavy, dark, engraved with Echo Team 7's crest. The surface was scratched, carried through deployments from deserts to frozen mountains. He offered it to her. "This belongs to someone we trust with our lives." She hesitated. Her fingers brushed the metal. Its weight surprised her, more symbolic than physical. Ward's voice softened. "We saw what you did out there. You fought beside us. You bled for us. Whether you like it or not, you're part of this team." Her grip tightened around the coin. A slight tremor ran through her hand, quick, almost invisible. "Thank you, Chief." The simple words carried more honesty than any medal ceremony could. Outside, the prairie rustled in a gentle rhythm, recovering from the violence. The air smelled of burnt grass and cooling earth. Dawn approached slowly, crawling across the horizon in pale streaks. The woman stepped away from the outpost lights, letting shadows reclaim her form. Ward followed her to the gate. "Where will you go?" "Where I'm needed," she replied. "The field always whispers before trouble arrives." He nodded. "If you ever need backup, any backup, you call us. Doesn't matter where you are." A faint curve touched the corner of her mouth. "You're loud in the grass, Chief. But keep that in mind." She turned toward the open prairie, disappearing step by step, fading into the landscape that shaped her. The tall grass swallowed her silhouette until only the wind knew where she stood. Then, her encrypted phone vibrated inside her suit. One soft buzz, then another. She read the message in the dim light of the moon. "Grass Phantom. The Marrow Brigade retrieved your thermal signature. They have fragments of your rifle track. They're building a file." A second line appeared. "Bounty expanded. More hunters coming. Your location is compromised." She shut the phone, the screen going dark against her palm. Ward's voice echoed faintly from behind the gate. "Everything good?" She didn't turn around. "They found me," she said quietly. Finally, the wind shifted. The grass bowed. She slung her rifle across her back, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. "Good," she whispered. "I've been looking for them too." And with that, she walked into the prairie, the night folding around her like a second skin. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating, with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.